Grace and peace to you. Welcome to Morning Watch. I'm Rob, one of the pastors here at White Plains. Glad to have you with us today. Happy Wednesday, Owl. This is where we gather for a song and a thought for the day. So glad you're here with us whenever you're watching. Thanks for liking and sharing and all of that good stuff. Morning, Florida. Morning, Terry. Good morning to you whenever you're watching. Thanks for being here. All right, let's begin our time together by going to God in prayer. Meet me, O Christ, in this stillness of morning. Move me, O Spirit, to quiet my heart. Mend me, O Father, from yesterday's harms. From the discords of yesterday, resurrect my peace. From the discouragement of yesterday, resurrect my hope. From the weariness of yesterday, resurrect my strength. And from the doubts of yesterday, resurrect my faith. From the wounds of yesterday, resurrect my love. And let me enter this new day, aware of my need and awake to your grace, O Lord. Amen and amen. Morning, Steve. Yes, again. Morning, Robin. Morning, Kenna. Morning, Faye. Well, we're having a great week at Vacation Bible School. I know you did that just a couple weeks ago, right, Steve? Well, we are in the middle of it. Here's another of these just oldie but goodie worship songs. This one, another one from the 90s here. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name when I'm found in the desert place. Though I walk through the wilderness, blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to every blessing Lord, blessed be your name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Amen. 4 chords. G, B, E minor, and then a C, but you add the D here. That's the tricky part. Alrighty. Well, now we come to an author in our little book, Spiritual Classics, that I am familiar with, very familiar with. In fact, I've got a copy somewhere. Well, somewhere in this mound of books, I have got a copy of his translation of the New Testament. J.B. Phillips. No relation. John Bertram. I know someone named Bertram. That's right. Hey, Keith. All right. John Bertram Phillips was an Anglican clergyman, best known for his contemporary translation of the New Testament. I was given a copy of that for my confirmation many years ago. And I've still got it with the inscription in the front presented to Rob Phillips for his confirmation in the United Methodist Church. It's a great reading translation of the New Testament. He lived in 1906 to 1982. Right? So since I was confirmed in the 70s, that was still a relatively recent publication, I guess. He was a Cambridge graduate with honors in classics. He worked as a curate and subsequently a vicar in wartime London. In his dialogues with young people, Phillips became concerned that many of them could not understand or relate to the venerable King James Bible. Responding pastorally, he tried his hand at a new translation of one of Paul's letters, using contemporary language and tone. Parishioners, young and old, were delighted, and said his friend, C.S. Lewis, "It's like looking at an old picture after it's been cleaned." Encouraged by such reactions and by his own experience in the translation process, Phillips went on to put the entire New Testament into modern English, a translation that became internationally popular. In addition, Phillips also wrote books to evangelize and teach. Among those were Your God is Too Small in 1953 and Plain Christianity in 1957. The series of 26 radio plays about the life of Christ was collected as A Man Called Jesus in 1959. Now, you also be familiar with Your God is Too Small. I've done that at least once in the 6 years of Morning Watch, and I think I may have even gone through it twice. That's a wonderful classic devotional book where Phillips just sort of destroys our ideas of a small God and introduces us to a God that is large enough to be God. The following selection is taken from A Ring of Truth, a translator's testimony. And Phillips is telling of his personal response to the work of translating the letters of Paul, James, and others. Clearly, he is on a personal journey of discovery, dealing with things in the Bible that may have baffled him in earlier translations. He is delighted to get in closer touch with first century Christians, and he's also glad that he can bring his readers closer to Jesus Christ. In particular, he devotes one chapter to 9 serendipities that he found in the New Testament. Well, here are 3 of them. Okay, so these are 3 things that epiphanies or serendipities that Phillips came to as he was translating. He writes, just over 200 years ago, in 1754 to be precise, Horace Walpole coined the term serendipity, which has come to be accepted into our language. The word, which is derived from the ancient name for Ceylon, is defined as the facility of making happy and unexpected discoveries by accident. So before I go on to discuss the work of translating the Gospels, I feel I must first mention some of the happy and unexpected discoveries which I made in the translation of the epistles. So the first one that I will mention, which of course many may all the time have been no secret to anyone else, is the expression rich in mercy in Ephesians 2:4. This struck me as a positive jewel, just as we might say that a Texas tycoon is rich in oil. So Paul writes it as a matter of fact that God is rich in mercy. The pagan world was full of fear, and the Christian gospel set out to replace that fear of the gods or the fates or even of life itself with love for and trust in God. Rich in mercy was good news to the ancient world, and it is good news today. The second serendipity that he describes here is that he says, I had for some time been worried about the expression fear and trembling. It did not seem likely to me that Paul, in writing to the Philippians, could have meant literally that they were to work out their salvation in a condition of anxiety and nervousness. I'm sorry, but I love the way Phillips writes here. Not just in this, but pretty much all his writing. It's great. They weren't supposed to literally work out their salvation in a condition of anxiety and nervousness. We all know that fear destroys love and spoils relationships. And a great deal of the New Testament is taken up with getting rid of the old ideas of fear and substituting the new ideas of love and trust. I realize that the Greek word that we translated as fear can equally well mean reverence or awe or even respect, such as the fear of God, right? But I was bothered about the trembling. Surely the same Spirit who inspired Paul to write to Timothy that God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind, could not also have meant us to live our entire lives in a state of nervous terror. So I came to the conclusion, a little reluctantly, that the expression in fear and trembling had become a bit of a cliche, even as it has in some circles today. As I went on translating, I found that this must be the case. For when Paul wrote to the Corinthians and reported that Titus had been encouraged and refreshed by their reception of him, he then went on to say that the Corinthians received him with fear and trembling. So that's 2 Corinthians 7:15. Now this makes nonsense unless it is purely conventional verbal form implying proper respect. For little as we know of Titus, we cannot imagine any real Christian minister being encouraged and refreshed by display of nervous anxiety. We get the same phrase occurring again in Paul's advice to Christian slaves, Ephesians 6:5, where the context makes it quite clear that faithfulness and responsibility are much more than Paul means rather than fear and trembling. This much became plain. And then I realized that when Paul really did mean the words to be taken literally, he amplified them to make sure they would be properly understood. I think we sometimes imagine that the incredibly heroic Paul suffered from no human weaknesses except for the thorn in the flesh, which all New Testament commentators have written, which is in 2 Corinthians 12:7. But if we turn to Corinthians to 1 Corinthians 2:3, we find Paul writing, I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. Now, this is a different thing altogether. Here we have a man honest enough to admit that he was frightened and that he was or had been ill. Fear and trembling here are perfectly legitimate. It is only when they are used as a phrase almost without literal meaning that we begin to feel uncomfortable. Interesting. And his third serendipity here, he writes, there are naturally many more happy and unexpected discoveries which I made over the years, some of them perhaps merely revealing how superficial must have been my knowledge of the New Testament letters. But since this is a personal testimony, I have felt it right to mention some of the things which came to me with fresh and startling clarity. I have saved the best till last. It occurs in John's first letter, chapter 3, verse 20. Like many others, I find myself something of a perfectionist, and if we don't watch ourselves, this obsession for the perfect can make us arrogantly critical of other people, and in certain moods, desperately critical of ourselves. In this state of mind, it is not really that I cannot subscribe to the doctrine of the forgiveness of sins, but rather that the tyrannical super me condemns and has no mercy on myself. Now, John, in his wisdom, points out in inspired words, if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. If our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. This is John, the first letter of John, chapter 3, verse 20. Phillips writes, this is a gentle but salutary rebuke to our assumption that we might know better than God. God, on any showing, is infinitely greater in wisdom and love than we are, and unlike us, knows all the factors involved in human behavior. We are guilty of certain things, and these we must confess with all honesty and make reparation where possible. But there may be many factors in our lives for which we are not really to blame at all. We did not choose our heredity. We did not choose the bad, indifferent, or excellent way in which we were brought up. This is naturally not to say that every wrong thing we do or every fear or rage to which we are subject today is due entirely to heredity, environment, or upbringing. But it certainly does mean that we are in no position to judge ourselves. We simply must leave that to God, who is our Father and is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. It is almost as if John is saying, if God loves us, who are we to be so high and mighty as to refuse to love ourselves? There you go. That's really the message that is at the heart of much of J.B. Phillips's writing. I think I will locate, first of all, that that translation of the New Testament and take another look at it. All right. And I think that concludes. Nope, we've got one more in study. So on to that tomorrow. All right. Thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another morning watch. May you find peace and purpose in this day. Take care, and I will see you again soon.